Okay, today we have one of these plastic later Sony dual tape decks, component hi-fi type. It is a TC-WE305. This has just got a couple of separate decks. I think this might be even cheaper than the usual one. Don't think it's an actual Tension mech, but it's probably getting close to it. Certainly a very basic model. Got some damage to the knob, I think. Tape tight deck A1, 2 or 4, 1, 2 and separate 4, so that would be metal chrome thrown in together. Dolby noise reduction on and off, so no BC on this one. Pretty basic little deck. I didn't even know I had this, so I can't remember anything about it, but I assume I saw it somewhere cheap and thought, oh well, might just grab that for parts if nothing else, because these are not something really worth doing a lot with, but it's worth a quick look. Might get a video out of it, and that's about it. Oh, looks like someone's nicked the screw out of the back of it, so someone's been in here. I mean, it may work for all I know, but chances are something's wrong with it. So not much inside it. Wow, they really are cheapo mechs that actually make the Tension mechs look quite high quality. It's just about what that's like. Made in China. Oh no, so the motor's Chinese. SHW2L, they were used in quite a few things. I think it's, is it a Sankyo? Yeah, Sankyo. But they never looked like that before, so that's a much later one. What does it say on the back? I guess made in China. Yeah, made in China. So this must be one of the last Sony tape decks ever made, probably. At least component type ones. So 2 separate motors. Yeah, it's odd they, most of the later ones with Sony mechs in them sort of combine the two together. And Panasonic, I think a lot of theirs and some of those boom boxes I looked at and stuff are the same sort of thing. A dual deck assembly. This has got the old separate ones, like a early sort of cheapo deck. It's got Sony written on the boards and stuff, so hopefully, and it does look like the normal printing. It's got the Sony part number and stuff, so it looks like it probably, oh, we've got a date. What is it? September 1998 by the look of it, so it's not that new really. I would have thought this would be into the maybe early 2000s. I'm not sure when they really stopped making these things. But it's certainly at the later end, that Sony stereo system I looked at, which is the thing I did just before this, which is what reminded me to do this. That was 97, I think, and that was not a really particularly nice sort of unit, getting on at the cheaper end of the scale. But it still had proper decks in it. I guess what you'd call proper Sony and auto reverse. This is just a super base model thing. I mean, they probably had to keep these things going for some customers that wanted this sort of thing for maybe, you know, music on hold on PA systems or background music in shops and stuff. So I think that's a reason, and because Sony used to supply a lot of the more professional stuff, that they may have made just, you know, dodgy sort of cheap decks for those sort of purposes, just so they had something in their lineup for people to get them by. We've got 2 green lights. That doesn't sound too good. And no take up, no capstan. I can hear the motor going though. And that's about all that's turning well. Look at it, have we got a belt? Got 2 belts. I think I just wound something back together, but they're not. That one's got a great big lump in it. So it's gone sloppy maybe, the belt in that one. Let's have a look at the other deck. Makes the same noise. You can tell it's top notch from the weird noises it makes. And that one actually seems to run. Although as soon as I touch that, you can hear the belt slipping or something. So maybe it just needs new belts. It's amazing to think this is like 25-year-old already. Yeah, it ran a little bit and then stopped. Yeah, fast forward's pretty useless. You can hear that noise where it basically the belt slipping. So probably a new set of belts in this will get it going again. I love that squeaky door. Well, that's more a farty door, really, isn't it? Creaky door. Sounds more like a sailing boat. Well, would be good for the old days when you wanted to make sound effects for on radio shows or something, I guess. What does it have? Does it have? Oh, there's the little piece that does the door dampening, sort of slowing it down. I can feel the vibration of it in the bass. So I assume it is something to do with that part. And do these doors actually come off or anything? Oh, they do actually come off. Wow, that is the flimsiest, lightest, cheapest bit of plastic door I've ever felt on a cassette deck, I think. High density head, DC servo control motor, really? You mean it's got a little speed controller board in there like every other cheapo boombox motor, but this is, yeah, boombox sort of quality, and later boombox at that. That's, I think, all we can say about this. Now, I think you can actually take these motors off. One good thing is I can probably take the motors off by undoing this one screw and not have to take the mechs out. So otherwise I've got to take like the front panel off, I think. Yeah, part of the mech goes down low there, so maybe. Oh, yeah, it looks like we can just... it's glued, of course. That'd be a Chinese thing to do. Why would you put glue there? Is that going to come out? I think we tilt it and, yeah, slide it, and out it comes. Is that stuck to the thing? Oh, that belt's just rubbish. You've got these tiny little, like the eBay kit belts, little tiny 1mm. Yeah, both of them are very limp, and look at it slowly oozing down. Lovely. Yeah, is that going to come off? I don't think I got it quite right because it's so limp. Yeah, the rubber's just limp out, so these are getting on their way to being goo. Again, that might be partly the fault of someone not using it. But yeah, look at the thing. Oh, God. Yeah, that's getting gooey. So there's two little belts, and I assume the other deck's the same. Well, at least it's nice and simple to work on. It's got the cheapest, nastiest looking little capstans in here. At least they've got some steel on them, I guess. And it looks like it's got one of these rotary auto stop things. I seem to remember seeing something on these somewhere when I was poking around looking at cassette player mix, trying to work out what's Tannishin and what isn't and stuff. But yeah, these have got a big round, so it's probably to get around the Tannishin patent or whatever. So I've got some little white bit of plastic that moves up and down. Probably not a great idea because that's kept running off the capstan. Oh, actually, what if it's running off the capstan? That can't be the... Oh, that moves something else. Oh yeah, and then the reel is involved probably. So yeah, that kind of potentially could add wow to this playback and stuff if it's got something running off the capstan. So I wouldn't call that a particularly good design by the look of it. Let's see if we can find some belts for this thing. Should have a heap of little belts. Are they too little? Some might be big enough, but I don't know. Oh yeah, let's get there. They're not very big belts. That one's very much what I want. I think the rest of these are too small though. Yeah. So I think we've got two belts the same size in this deck. I'll soon find out. What's meant to go around that black? Oh, wait up. There's two, one on the front lower pulley, which just doesn't seem to want to go on. I've got to remember though, these are quite stretched, so they're not going to do. We need to go even smaller, which might be that size. Get onto that bottom pulley and across to the idler. That's better, so that was the sort of size, so they are quite small. And let's see if this other one fits better from capstan to motor. Even that might be too long. That was the bit that was glued on. No, they're too long by a mile, huh? So they're quite a bit shorter. Oh well. Come out. So I was wasting my time with those ones anyway. Let's try something about that size. Even that might be too long. Get onto the pulley. Yeah, I think that's about it. So those belts are substantially longer than they... I thought they'd just gone droopy, but they've obviously stretched. So it's just a matter of, yeah, screw the motor back on and fingers crossed, chuck those things in the rubbish. They're useless as a guide to size anyway. One more belt in there. See if we've got one deck that works. Well, the auto stop works. Yeah, it's had a little bit of use looking at the dirt on the capstan. I didn't really need to take the door covers off because I didn't end up pulling the mechs out, but very handy for cleaning things. It's certainly a lot easier when you get your hand through the hole in the door. You can't really do it with it closed, unfortunately, because it's kind of in the way still. Just got to be careful because there's nasty 240 volts on the switch there, sticking out in the open. So just, again, be super careful with audio gear, putting your fingers in there because I've still got the power on. Should really be turning it off. Even though you think, oh, no point just to clean it, but if you've got to put your fingers in there to rotate the capstan or anything, that's where it always bites you. The main thing with audio is you tend to be less wary with it. If you're working on a microwave or a television or something, you expect it to bite you, whereas these, I've got a couple of shocks off these things just because you're a bit more blasé with them, I think, because you think it's just low voltage, but they're always the worst ones. Okay, so that should, I guess we could try it. Get our songs of joy. Well, we've got signal there. Probably working alright. Sounds pretty bad though. Getting rid of the Dolby always makes it sound better. Not too bad, I don't think it's the greatest sounding thing on earth, but do we actually have a proper Dolby chip there? Sony Dolby CXA 1551. Is it just one of them or is that another one? Yeah, that's something else, a 4066 switch, I think. Oh, there's another one here. What have we got here? CXA 1579. And we've got something from Motorola there. Oh, 4011, so another CMOS chip. Oh, that's at least they're simple to work on. I assume that's deck 8. So that's its one saving grace, I guess. Oh well, about time I opened another one of those belt kits up. Shut that up. See if we can do the other one just as easily. Again, just undo that one screw. Scrape the glue out on the little bracket thing there, just to break it free. So you don't risk breaking the plastic, then you just gotta tilt it and slide it back, and there we have it. One motor free. At least those motors seem to be half decent, I guess. I bet the wow and flutter figures on this thing aren't great though. A couple more limp belts. I guess I should really measure what size these things are, the replacement ones. Those ones I don't think are as far stretched. That's too limp, so they are quite small. Sure, it's not that small. That's probably the one. Get on there. Yeah, that's about it, except if I can get it to drop where I want it. Just the slightest bit of slip. I guess we should find out what size these things actually relate to. That's got some oily stuff on it, so that's not a good sign. Maybe there's something on that pulley. It's not as small as the 35. It must be getting into these 40 size. Around a 40. That's what a 43 looks like. Yeah, 40 to 43, somewhere in that size belt. But yeah, that's definitely got something on it. Unless that was already on there. Maybe I picked that up when I dropped it under there. Because you've got to basically drop it under the capstan and onto the mech almost to get it where you want it. Guess it wouldn't hurt to clean all these anyway, since they've had belts that are starting to almost go gooey on it in them. Let's try that again. If that was a 43 diameter, this one. It's gone under the thing, that's why. It's no wonder it's picking up oil. Oh, grease, but no, it hasn't got anything on it. I can't see any grease on this mech, so... Sometimes they just go on, other times they do not want to know it. That's it. To be honest, the 40 might be a better size. It is only the real, but I wonder if I should go just slightly smaller than that one. Oh, now it's picked up something again. That has got to be your 40. And I'll try and find another one, I think. That's pretty close, maybe a tad smaller. That's another 43, I think. That's another 43. Oh god. That's the one. So I've got two of those belts. See if the same size fits in both. Oh, put that on the wrong pulley, haven't I? What am I thinking? That's it. Easy enough to drop it on the other one. Yeah, I think that's on about a 40. So let's try the same size belt. Now I've got to get it on the outer pulley, or upper pulley, whatever, the one next to the metal. Yep. Now it's caught in the wires, drop the motor back in, get that on the pulley, hook the motor back under its little hole, drop it down and put the screw in, and hopefully that's it. If everything's got in place properly. Chuck those old belts away. Oh, at least I used up some shorter belts, 4 of them in fact. Something's gone wrong. Damn thing's slipped off, hasn't it? You son of a... It's always the way. I wonder if I can use that pick thing to coax it back onto the upper pulley. Oh yeah, I might be able to if I wrap that, wind it round. Now I can't get the tool out. Nice. Oh, what's it done? There we go. It's caught on something. That belt, that is. Now I can't get the tool out. That's it. Okay. Oh, the other thing we've got to do is, why does that door make that noise? Oh, I'm just putting Brian in there. I think that tape's the best sounding anyway. Reel's wobbling around. I wonder if those belts are too tight. Certainly more wow on that deck. Lots of it. It's not perfect either, I don't think, but it's better. Maybe I should have gone with the 43s. That's part of the fun of this, is trying to work out what's the best. But of course, the 43 seemed good for the... No, sorry, the 40 seemed good for the reel, but it doesn't mean this one's not a bit too tight. That was part of what I wanted to find out. Are they the same or not? Let's go for the... Where did I put those bigger ones? Who knows? Was that them? Well, I don't think it's perfect, but it's reasonable. So it wants about a 40 belt for the reel and a 43mm for the capstan to motor The reel is still wobbling around a lot in this, but like I said, it shouldn't really affect the capstan, but unless it's really bad, but and putting some sort of force on it or tension on it or whatever, some sort of mechanical vibration back, which is unlikely with just a plastic bit that's wobbling around a bit. Hasn't really got the energy relative to the capstan itself, which is why I want a bit of weight in the capstan. It's meant to keep the speed regulated despite various other potential vibrations and stuff in there. But that's basically a going deck again. Probably one of the most, or sort of one of the least inspiring decks you'll ever see, besides that Sansui thing I looked at. But I guess if you just wanted a simple deck, that would do the job. I guess the other thing I could look at is, can I fix that noise? Problem is you have to take the whole deck out and probably remove that piece. Well, I had a bit of time earlier, so I pulled one of these decks out. Nothing really much to see here, fairly bland little plastic mech. And I had a look at the squeaky thing, and moving this, I removed this gear and it certainly stopped the sound. Putting it back, even just pushing it on by hand, would sort of make more noise. But even without it, I was sort of putting a bit of force and stuff on it, and it was making a little bit of noise, not as bad. Even just having a bit of grease off this thing on the gear there seemed to reduce it. But once I put it back in, it was back. So what I did, I pressed on some of these ends of the door, these pivot points, and that seemed to reduce it. So I've actually, you can just bend these out slightly, and I put some grease on each one, and that seems to have cured it. So it's still making a little bit of noise, but nothing like it was. There's a little bit of sort of vibration I can still feel in it, but it's pretty quiet. That's like quite acceptable. What was the other one sounding like? I forget now, but oh, that's right. Yeah, the creaking boat. So it seems to be the plastic 2 pins that hold this door on, where they go into the metal mechanism. So quite easy to pull apart. You can just undo a bunch of plugs, and I think it was 3 screws underneath, and this whole deck comes out. Actually I've got to eject it, and you've got to shove that up through the hole there. It's one of those sort of plastic fronted things. Oh, there's some writing on here. Dow-Styron 470 and C2074 HTP. I don't know if that's something to do with the type of plastic in there. Sounds like it. Probably Dow Chemicals or something, is it? Maybe they're saying what this thing's made out of. Now I can't get the thing back in there. There it goes. Bit fiddly, and there was a little earth wire somewhere here. We've got to get it in the right spot. Or was that the one that was 2 earth wires? I could have sworn I took one off here somewhere. Oh no, that's all right. There's another separate earth wire. I was going to say there was 2 earth wires going to the chassis. Oh, that must be the second one. So, oh yeah, one from each deck. That's what they are. So they've got an earth wire on each deck to earth it to the chassis, and just here 4 screws holding these in. I thought I might as well pull one to bits and see if I can find out what's actually doing the problem. What's causing it. And the grease still sitting there from when I did it. But I thought it'd be interesting to have a look at these mechs. I don't know whether these are just a Sony mech or what they are, but they're certainly at the low end of things, but I guess they do the job. And we've got to take that door bit off. Might even put the other one back on so I don't get them mixed up. Get in there. Yeah, with all this plastic it really amplifies that sound a bit. But simple enough to get to bits and just lube that bit. At least it should be a lot quicker now I know what I'm actually doing. I don't have to take the little gear off or anything. Yeah, they're quite a tight fit now. So I look at it. Oh, what have we got here? We've got a counter belt in here. I didn't change that. Whoops. That was a bit naughty. Look at that horrible, another droopy belt. So that was another reason to pull it to bits. I'm glad I found that. I completely forgot it had a counter in it. Probably would have noticed sooner or later, but there's some dust on this. That's the other reason to get it apart. There'll be a heap of dust under the front panel there. Can go. Plenty of dust got in through the doors on these things. Clean the door, and it's a bit easier around the pinch roller and stuff down there. See, it does have a little bit of grease on this thing, but I just actually should be able to just sort of force these to one side without actually, it did pop out then. You don't actually have to pop it out. Just get a bit of grease on a screwdriver. Maybe I should just pop that so it just clicks out and just wipe that round the pin there. And same on the other end. Shouldn't take too much, just I think I've got that most of the way around. Let's see if that's done it. And you can still feel something's a bit chunky. I don't know if it's just the gears. I wonder if I should put a little bit on there as well. Probably won't hurt, I guess, because that old grease, it is kind of sticky stuff they put in those things. You don't want to make them work too well, or you won't get a slow release door. Yeah, it's still about the same, I think. No, it's maybe getting a little less vibrational. Oh yeah, that's actually fixed it so it doesn't vibrate so much. So that vibration there might have been part of what that noise was. But most of it seemed to be the two end pins. Yeah, it definitely feels better because you could feel it still vibrates a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as it was. So once that grease gets spread everywhere, that's pretty good. I did notice the other one improved when just the grease that was already on there spread around a bit more when because I took the gear out. It sort of, when I was putting it back in place to see if it was the gear making the noise, it actually sort of spread the grease around and it ran a bit better. But most of the noise seems to be the two pivot points. Now the other thing we want is a replacement for that gooey little belt. So I take it, how do we get this on easily? Because I think we're going to have to shove the mech in and then poke it through the hole. And this mech here, like I say, it's a bit funny the way it goes in. It really clashes with everything. So what's the secret way of getting that in? There must be one. That's it. It's just maybe got to pull the door a little bit wider open than you'd expect. And yeah, of course the belt. So it does go from the back. Okay, I wasn't sure if it came through. Of course there's a plastic plate there. So we've got to get that back a little bit. And find something similar. That's probably a mile longer than it should be. Ugh, God, I can't believe it's gone from a 1mm belt down to a third of a mil or something. It's that thin now, it's stretched. That's shorter, but that might still be too long even. I guess I'm just going to have to test it and see how stretched the other belt is. Although I think I've got one of these dodgy ones out of this kit that's a little rectangular. I think you've got to go around that eject lever that sticks out. Counter belt's not so important anyway. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. Probably should have measured it to see how long it was, but too late now. Don't know where those two screws came from over there. Must have been out when I pulled it apart. And I guess I can shut the door or stop that pushing back up. So this deck you've really got to at least loosen it off. If not outright remove the screw so you can put a new counterbelt in. So that's something I missed. But like I say, probably would have noticed eventually. I think the counter was actually turning. I did see it running, but I might be wrong about that. I guess we can just turn this. It's not turning. We're turning the thing that runs it. Oh, don't tell me the counter's faulty after all that. Well, the counter pulley's turning, so it's not the belt. Okay, that'll be right. Fit the belt and then realise the counter doesn't work. Pretty rare. Normally you just got to reset them or something. Sometimes they do sort of lock, but resetting them usually makes them work again. So I don't think I did see the counter running. That little gear's turning, but that one isn't. Oh, it's stuck in the up. Yeah, look at it, it's not returning. This little piece lifts up so they can all flick back to 0. And it's not dropping down enough to engage again. I think, yeah, if I push it down to there, we have counter. So that's probably another thing that's seized up. Is it because the button's not coming back out? Oh yeah, it might be the button's not coming out. Oh look at here, the button's just not sliding properly, so that's what it is. That button's not fully returning. I think it's quite stiff. Hopefully a bit of grease, if I can get it in there, will fix that as well. So that's another issue. I might gotta find a screwdriver here. So yeah, it shows you the sort of cheapo plastic this thing's made out of. Try and get it in the little slot on the face of the slot, and then we'll get it on the internal face. What I can get to there, because there's something in this plastic's maybe a bit gritty or something. To be fair, it could be environmental. So that seems to come back out now, and we're engaged again. There you go. And I've got grease all over everything, so I'll wipe that off a bit. But yeah, that's fixed it, I think. Well, I think that's the first tape counter I've had to fix. But that's what's happening with this stuff these days, getting all sorts of weird issues and things that you never used to see. But again, part of the problem is just they've been abandoned and not used for so long. I'll just wipe off the worst of that grease, get the dust and stuff off that knob. Is that a bit of grease? Yeah, I did have a bit of grease on it. Okay, let's hope that belt stayed on its pulley on the reel at least. Otherwise I'll have to unscrew the mech again, won't I? Oh well, we've got this in plenty of pieces and got to really see what it was made out of. Even though I didn't particularly want it. Didn't have much choice in the end, so let's turn the reel again. And we're counting. Backwards, forwards, reset it. Seems to be alright. Well, there you go. A stuck button of all things. Oh, that's what, what happened to the old belt? Did I throw that in the rubbish? I hope I did. I hope it didn't go in that belt collection. Don't actually remember now. Oh yeah, I can see it down in the rubbish bin, so that's a good sign. Pretty sure that's it. Oh no, it's making the noise again. Ah, you're kidding me. Well, it was. That one's fine. Let's stop now. Maybe I didn't get quite enough grease on there. Don't think there's something that could have caused that, was it? Weird. Just check that belt, looks like it's still on the pulley, and it does, even though it was turning it, it doesn't mean it's necessarily on properly. Don't know. But yeah, what a plastic fantastic deck this one is. A bit weird to get these doors on too. You must have to slot the bottom one on, then slide the top one back. Is it going a bit faster, that one? Possibly. Maybe I shouldn't have put the grease on that rail. Yeah, it is quicker than the other one, isn't it? Not by much, but slightly a bit quicker. But shame about that knob, looks like it's been damaged. I don't know what that, no, that's just dust on that bit. What's the end of it happened to it? Has it got some silver paint on it, or I don't know what's happened there. Might be able to polish that off a bit, but that's pretty rough. Display's got scratches, the whole thing's far from mint. What's this great big mark? I didn't even notice that before. I think we need to try and clean that off while it's in pieces. Oh yeah, I've got the power switch off as well, because just to get this out of the, you can barely remove this front panel because the power cord, there's one little unpluggable part, but the power cord itself is stuck in the back panel of the unit, and that was preventing the front panel from moving very much at all. But eventually you can sort of jiggle it around so you can face it downwards and then unscrew the switch. But yeah, this is pretty rough anyway, this one. I say it would have had to have been cheap for me to actually bother buying it at all. I probably thought, oh, that'll make a good little project tape deck one day. Only to be chucked away afterwards, I guess, because what do you do with these things? Might be able to polish a few of these bits up better, but yeah, that white muck on there is pretty well stuck on. Let's see if we can make this look a little bit more respectable. Even though it's not a very respectable deck at the best of times. And what did I just, oh yeah, the end of the knob, but it was if that colouring goes off that, it might look a bit better if it's black, even if it's a bit rough. I think that might have got rid of some of that, and try and get rid of this. That white stuff might not be that bad. That might actually be like plastic or something stuck to it. Chunky stuff. Where it's been scraped across something. Probably someone's wheelie bin, if they had any sense. Oh, they're usually green in colour, not white. Oh, I don't think it matters too much what I do to it. That polish might have, ooh, I think I might have polished a bit of the texture off the face of it. So that might not be a good idea. And these, of course, they got the sort of fake brushed aluminium look to them, so it's probably just the paint and the slightest bit of polish and it's gone. I think that knob looks a bit better. I think it might have took the scratches out of there. We'll see when it dries, I guess. Still a bit there maybe. I shouldn't really be using metho on this, it'll leave a bit of a coating, but I'll see if we can get this. Yeah, it's taking the rest of that white stuff off, I think. That's probably what I should have used. And there's marks on there, big scratch there. So yeah, she's pretty much only good for parts, probably. Oh, that's what those two screws I saw over there were for. That was the power switch. And this, now that I've polished it all up, probably not the best way to do this. I should really be a bit careful with it now, because it's sitting on sharp edges of metal and stuff, or relatively sharp. And think I left the screw in place for the earth wire. Yeah, it's near the transformer there. There's a screw right there. That was kind of to remind me where it went, and probably a good thing because it's been a half a day since I quickly looked at that bit and disassembled this thing. See, the power cord makes it really tight. Gotta get this little bit over the edge there. I think they're kind of in place. Screw all lines up, so that's a good sign. Let's get those earth wires on first, so they're out of the way. Some of these wires are clipped into these little things on the bottom here. That probably went through there. And these were quite tight on the screw from memory because the wire wrapped all around my, this brown one wrapped all around my screw when I undid it. So I think they made these little eyelet things a little small. Get in there. Yeah, just caught then, but let's let them go now. That's right, got a little, got two little connectors in here somewhere. Oh, where did that go? That must go in there, I'm guessing. Must admit, I didn't check if these are all different size connectors. They probably aren't. But you can sort of get an idea where they went. There was another, that wire goes into there. There's a little erase head, 2-pinner there. That would be that set of heads. That would be the other set of heads. I think that all went under this little cable bendy thing there. And there should be a little 2-pin off the power switch here somewhere. Oh, we've still got one more big one. That goes over there. I don't know if it matters which order. There was a cable tie I had to snip. Well, that's not the right socket for that. That goes up there. Oh, let's get the big one in. And this was cable tied to those. Should always put your cables back, cable ties and stuff back in place. So this one's sort of, yeah, because it floats up a bit, but I think that's the cable tie about there. Oh, I know it was around that loop there, I think. That looped up motor wiring. I'm not going to bother on this one, but you should put them back. It doesn't matter so much with this low power stuff, but then you might get interference issues or something, even if you don't get safety issues. So cable dress can be important for safety and for actual functionality. Sometimes it's just to make it nice and neat and so nothing gets caught up in the assembly process or something, and it's not that important. But if you're working on someone else's equipment, you always put that sort of stuff back. Should basically look like no one's been in there. Is the best repair job you can do. Oh, let's, I guess, plug this thing back in. It certainly looks a bit better on the front, even though it's still a bit rough. Always nice to get them clean again and looking half decent. I haven't actually tried the record on this, have I? Get some CD happening. Get some amplifier. Now let's check these things. Power will be good. Still making a few funny noises there. That one's back to doing it again. That's this end of the door, I think. Oh, anyway, we didn't check the network. She runs. Yeah, we're back in business. Doesn't sound too bad. of the better ones. Oh, we switched. Oh, that one's on chrome when it shouldn't be. Oh, the counter's stopped working. Oh no, don't tell me that's sticking as what it is. Well, this lubing things up doesn't seem to be working very well. Yeah, it's stuck a couple of times and now it's good again. Maybe we'll dub a bit of that across. Okay, I'll try a bit of dubbing, I guess, and see what that comes out like. Just hit play, record, and play on the other one. Ooh, what happened then? Oh, was that the external input? Oh, it would have been. Huh, bit weird. It must override it. Okay, so that's off CD. Well, now we've got record level control. Looks like it's fixed on dubbing, which is pretty normal. Oh, we'll record a bit of that too. So yeah, when you press play on that one, it overrides the input. Because I wasn't sure, there's no dubbing switch or anything. I guess it makes sense to do it that way. Saves putting one more switch in there. If this tape's pressed down, then the recording comes from that deck. And if it's not pressed down, it comes from external input, I guess. Oh, that doesn't sound too good. Not sure if that's just a tape, but it's definitely better off CD. I might start recording a bit later in case that tape's been a bit damaged. If you've got any wow issues, you'll certainly notice it on the recording from the other deck. You get both of them adding. That's alright. Not the greatest quality, but you know, when you're dubbing tape to another tape, well, you're not going to get the greatest quality, that's for sure. Certainly sounds better coming from the CD player, because at least that's only one tape deck that involved then. But that all seems to work, and you just saw why you shouldn't change dubbing speed from high to low part way through a recording, because you do get a bit of a little speed change thing there in your recording, so that was never a good idea to change. Always seem to be a bit poorer quality on high speed than normal speed. But yeah, dubbing tapes to other tapes, not a good idea. You could, with a decent deck, you could dub CD onto cassette fairly well with it, especially if you had a metal tape or chrome tape. But other than that, yeah, not really worth doing most of the time. But anyway, that's got this thing mostly going. It's still a little bit squeaky in that door on one side sometimes. So I probably should have pulled that off a little bit more on that side and made sure I got grease right around that pin. It might work its way around eventually, but it's weird. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. That one seems to be pretty good. They're still going to sound plasticky anyway. But at least that's what it would have been like when it was new. I'm sure they didn't sound like that. Oh, it's good now. Huh. It depends where you push it. Dunno. But anyway, that one's patched up. Oh, actually it was more than 3 belts, wasn't it? 5 new belts. A counter that did lock up again, but it seems to be working again now, I think. It's a random counter. I think that's all we had to fix on it really. Still doesn't sound anything particularly inspiring or interesting. But most cassettes aren't the greatest sounding things on earth, but this one's certainly at the bottom end. Like I say, it's basically about as good as one of those boom boxes I fixed. And probably some of those were better than this. So not a very good outcome for a supposed component deck, but you definitely don't buy these component decks from the later 90s and into the 2000s. I assume they kept going a little bit into the 2000s because they just didn't put any quality into most of them. Maybe they still had some high-end decks out there, but there wasn't really much of a market for them by that stage. Like I say, as soon as you could record on the CD-ROM on your computer, or some people actually did buy the CD recorders, just like an audio-only one. Once you had that option to make your own compilations and stuff, why would you bother with tape anymore? And of course, car CD players and stuff were getting cheaper, and then MP3 and stuff was coming out. So that was really the end of the era then. I think that's what did I say it was? 98 or 99 deck. I actually would have thought it was even later than that. It's so flimsy and plasticky, but must have been one of, I guess Sony had to have arranged some good decks and some really cheapo ones just to keep market share or whatever. But it is a shame to see Sony stoop down to this level, I guess. But yes, plenty of their hi-fi systems didn't have the best decks in them by this stage because it just wasn't worth it. Though that thing I looked at the other day, the all-in-one system, that actually had dual reverse decks in it. The one I've got lying around here, someone that I was using, that was a dual reverse one still, but that was an earlier 90s sort of model. But I think we'll chuck that on the novelties of old tape decks pile to be looked at and never used again. So thanks for watching.